Banshee Fever 750 coming at you. Well, want to make this video here. As you can see, this Kickstarter on this 02 Banshee. You see that when you kickstart it, and then you flip it back. As you can see, it literally just doesn't stay in place. So there's just a spring mechanism in there, and a ball bearing, and an O-ring. It's a really simple fix. Now you can do this. You can do this while it's still on the machine, but you'd have to find a way to hold this piece from snapping back once you take this screw out. Now I had this soaking in PB Blaster overnight. You know what? That noise is driving me crazy. What's going on? You know what? I'll tell you what. Working on Banshees is like a dog chewing a bone. You know why? You know, I can tell her, hey, stop making that noise, take the bone away, but why would I do that, right? Who in the world does that? You know what I mean? Her chewing the bone is like us working on these Banshees. So if the noise bothers you, you can always click off. You know, if you're looking at how to fix your Kickstarter on your Banshee or how to rebuild your existing one, keep on watching. So you can actually leave the Kickstarter on in a pinch. You know, you bolt a pair of you can clamp down on this with a pair of vice grips to hold it in place, so you can take this screw out, this Phillips screw out of there. You know, it's funny how in the old days they used Phillips screws for everything. You know, for case covers and just kind of dumb. But I prefer the socket cap screws myself. But as you can see, you know, this one's been worked on a few times. I started taking this bolt off here. Just so you know, it's a, was it a 12? That's what it is on mine. So I already kind of started a few things just to speed up the process a little bit. Okay, got the bolt out. Wiggle your Kickstarter off. And the reason why I'd rather take the whole unit off is because you see these splines? Can you see the splines in there? You know, I'll take a toothbrush and clean this out real nice. And then I'll throw some Molly, that black grease, that Molly. And then, you know, it's a spline grease. And then you put it back on, torque it to specs. I don't believe in a good and tight. I like to torque everything, every bolt to a certain spec, whatever the manufacturer calls for. But you can see, we'll clean all that up. But I'm going to go ahead and let's take a walk over here. I'm doing this all one-handed. I just want to make this vid so see if it can help somebody out. You know, I've pulled out a wealth of information off the internet, off YouTube, so I'm just trying to give a little bit back. Alright, so remember this was a 13, so we're going to put the bolt here. I'm going to clamp this puppy down. Clamp it down this way. Now this is the first one I've done. I'm not going to lie to you, I kind of had it apart a few minutes ago just so I can see, to make sure that there weren't going to be any problems. That way I can, you know, make a short vid and have no surprises. So I took a few things apart. So, and I reassembled them, but I just wanted to show you what exactly entails in rebuilding your Kickstarter. Oh, I forgot to mention one thing. So the rebuild kit came with a spring, and then you can see the O-ring, a new screw, and a ball bearing. Okay? That ball bearing is like a detent. The spring sits behind the ball bearing, puts pressure, you know what I mean? The O-ring keeps the dirt from going inside the ball bearing and the spring and jamming things up. But I'm sure this is a common, I would imagine this is probably a common thing. I mean, this is probably something you got to do every couple of years or so. I mean, it's cheap enough. The rebuild kit cost, what was it, $7 shipped to my house. And quite honestly, the other thing I was thinking was you can always go in there and just, if you have extra O-rings laying around, you know, O-rings are cheap. You can buy it for 10 cents. But if you have an O-ring laying around that's the exact size, you can actually take the spring and just stretch it out a little bit. And that'll probably be just fine too. But I just went out ahead and bought a kit. I just wanted to start fresh. But if you're on a budget and you're having this problem, it's a safety issue, you know, you might be able to try spreading the spring out. I'm not saying do it. I'm not recommending it. All I'm saying is that I'm sure it's been done before. So put that there. Take your Phillips. Make sure I got the camera still. There you go. Get this facing you guys. take the Phillips, and you know what? I noticed you can feel it binding up a little bit, so I'm going to pull up on it and wiggle it. You see that? Because it was binding up on me, but if you find the right spot, so I'm pushing it that way a little bit. There you go. See it? Comes right out. Okay. So what I'm always constantly wiping things clean, but that bolt's a little jacked up. Like I said, next time I think I'll just go get myself. I gotta find out, maybe a grade 8 bolt, socket head cap screw, but I've got to see if I can find something that's got that flared edge. But, all right, so there's the bolt, and this thing's pretty chewed up. Put that there, and then we're gonna slide this guy off like so. All right, and what I would recommend doing is, let's see if you can see, inside of here, it's a little gunked up. There's a little bit of crud in there. All right, there's a little bit of crud in there. So I would recommend, like I said, I soaked this for about 2 weeks prior to even working on it. But you might want to take something, screwdriver and a rag, and don't mar anything up inside. Just just gently, just, you see that? Just clean all that gunk out of there. You can see the O-ring's still intact. So, I could have probably just got, well, you know what, it's actually a little bit chewed right over here. We'll get to that in a second. But that O-ring's probably, in a bind, in a tough situation, I think you can probably get away with using that again. But just showing you what you can do. I'm going to probably blow that out. I'll spray it with a little bit of WD-40. You know what I mean? Let it work. Let it work, you know what I mean? Shake it around. Let it work and degrease whatever's in there. Because you can see how the machine in there looks pretty good. For what it is. And actually, bear with me. I'm going to go grab a toothbrush real quick and get that going. But, all in all, I would say that this job is pretty straightforward. It's something that can be done in probably 5-10 minutes. So don't be afraid to just dive in and do it. I just wanted to make this vid, and this is just something that I wanted to do to help other guys out that are in this situation. And they're wondering, hey, how do I rebuild my Kickstarter? Rather than spending, $45 on a cheap one, or, buying a used one, or, you can buy the expensive ones. They're like, $100 or something dollars. But so far, this one's been fine. Now, depending on, this bore, then you got this pin. Now, if it's really worn out, then it's always gonna be loose. So eventually, you're just gonna have to buy another one. So that's pretty clean. That'll work. And as you can see, let's see, the bolt that actually came out of there. You can see when this goes down in there, that bolt actually goes inside of that groove. So that's why you want to lube this up with some Molly. Because you can see, that actually goes right in that groove, and that's what's boogered up chunked up the bolt. Look at that. You can see it. Can you see that? Let's see if we can zoom in here. You can see it, can't you? Yeah. Alright. So, even if your Kickstarter's still good, maybe take it apart once a year. Once a year, if you change that gear oil, the clutch oil, you want to, this is simple enough. This is a 5-minute job. Alright, so that's out. And then I'm going to pull the O-ring out. And just so you know, you could do it a different way. I could have just screwed up now, but I didn't. But you can see the O-ring. See the O-ring? I didn't measure the size, but let's see if I can get a better picture of that. You can see where it's kind of flattened out there. Can you see that? There you go. Alright. So, you can take the O-ring to a parts store and you can probably get another O-ring. Not a big deal. Alright, so throw that to the side, and I'm going to unclamp this, and I want to show you. There's the detent ball. So I'm going to just tap that, and it comes right out. See the ball? Take a ball bearing. And then you have a spring. See, that spring pushes on the ball bearing, okay? And then see where this little hole is? This pin that they drove in there, there's a slot where the ball bearing would slide into. So when you're done kickstarting, you're done brap, right, up, that locks in. That little ball locks right in place. And then it holds you in place. So it doesn't kind of come back out. You know what I mean? You know, it mates. You can see it. See where that goes right there? See? It'll go in there. Alright? So, that's that. So much time we got left. We got a couple minutes. Alright, so, you know, clean this up real nice, as best as you could. I don't know, off the top of my head, I got to look up the torque specs for this bolt. But you can do that yourself. I don't have that written down right now. But, you know, I'll put it together and snug it up and go inside, make a cup of coffee, and then I'll look up the torque specs. But, you know, I'd probably clean that up a little bit more. I like my stuff to be clean when I put it back. And scrub it off a little bit like that. You know, with WD-40 and PB Blaster, I'll tell you, these are two solvents, penetrating lubes that I like. Whenever I got grungy stuff, I mean, it doesn't harm the metal, and it really does a good job of degreasing. You know. There you go. See that? Nice and clean. Look at that. I think we still have a good part here. All right. So, one thing I did notice is that, I'm going to show you here, this spring is the original Yamaha Banshee spring. And then over here I've got the one I took off, and you can see the difference. Can you see it? It's a little smaller, so this one's already been compressed. So we're not going to use that. And if you really wanted to get crazy with it, you can measure both ball bearings with a caliper. You know, it's roughly 207 thousandths of an inch. And then I can check the other guy over here. And look at that. It's a little bit bigger. 218 thou, or 17 and a half, you know, roughly. Remember, this is a caliper, not a micrometer. So you can see this one's a little bit bigger. So hopefully that's going to work out to our advantage, because I'm just thinking this one's just worn out. Just flat worn out, you know. Oh yeah. 207 thousandths. And then we got, let's see, 207, about 10 thou difference. So that's enough to make, you know. And then the spring, you can also check the spring and see how far it's collapsed. Let's take a quick look here. Alright, the new spring is roughly, you know, we're going roughly 318 thousandths of an inch. New guy, and then the old one, look at that, it's not even 300 thousandths, it's like 297 thousandths of an inch. So yeah, these parts were worn out. As you can see, the new parts superseded. Alright, got the mounting, clean up my brush. Okay, get the molly out, get our parts back up here. Let me see how fast we do this. Spray a little bit of molly on the brush. Like that spline lubricant, open gear molly lube. Good stuff. You know what I should have done? Did I forget to clean that out? You know what I did? I forgot to get that little guy over here cleaned out. Alright. You know what? I'm going to do this in two parts. Alright, Banshee Fever 750. We're going to hit a part two. I'm running under, going over my 15-minute limit. We'll hit a part two on this, alright? Look for part two. Don't forget to subscribe. And give me feedback. Any questions or comments? Banshee Fever, over and out.